Folks, welcome back. Let's talk. So, 151 is getting reprinted in both Japanese and English this year and into next year. I want to talk about this swelling amount of engagement and content consumption and demand that we are seeing all across the hobby. I know myself, as well as other content creators, we're all noticing the same thing. Our comment sections are getting more engagement than ever. When we have live streams, we're getting more live viewers and people in the chat than ever. Our subscriber counts are growing faster than normal, and our views are larger than they've been in, well, ever since I started the channel, but others in years. And it's pretty much across the board. It's not just my channel, right? And we're having more and more comments and more people ask questions in lives that are just returning to the hobby or just finding the hobby for the first time, and they're asking all the same questions, right? You know, where do I buy this? Where do I sell that? You know, what are the best items to buy? What are the best items to collect? What are the best items to invest in? At what price points do I buy? All the same stuff, and they're getting more and more engaged, and they're very conscious of the dollars that they're spending and wanting to make sure that they're spending them, you know, correctly and to get the most out of it, most bang for their buck. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about where the market is headed into the near future. I do see this bull market lasting for an extended period of time, and I'll explain why. I'll explain how to, you know, best protect yourself, or when it does start to, you know, trail off and come to an end. Talk how to protect yourself from these reprints, and we'll just kind of see where this conversation takes us. We're just going to start talking and have a good time, and who knows? Who knows how long this video will be, but I got a lot of stuff I want to just kind of cover today. So we'll start out with the 151 stuff. So yeah, Japanese product apparently is getting reprinted later this year, the 151 booster boxes again. Depending on which side of the aisle you're on, you may think this is warranted, you may think this is a mistake. Either way, it looks like it's going to happen. Here's one thing I'll tell you. I don't invest in foreign languages. I don't have Japanese or Chinese or Korean or any other of the languages out there. Okay, so I don't have a dog in this fight. All right, so I have no reason to, you know, try to pump up any positions I do or don't have. Here's one thing I'm going to tell you. If there was an English product that was one of the most high demand and highly sought after English products, and it got a massive reprint, and I had a chance to get back in at the ground floor, I would take it. That's all I'm going to say. If the Japanese boxes drop again to the 60s and 50s, heck, even the 40s, and you have been thinking about getting in, or you're just coming to the hobby and you're wondering, you know, what a good product would be to invest in if you're a Japanese collector or investor, 151 is kind of the creme de la creme. And if you can find Japanese boxes in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, those are the times you want to buy if you believe in investing in that stuff. And anyone that missed out the first time, if you don't take this, you know, this chance, maybe you shouldn't even invest in this hobby. Maybe you should just go somewhere else, because you're not going to have a better setup play out there. Simple as that. And so don't get into Timmy mindset, right? And say, I'm going to wait, Alex. I'm going to wait till it's 50 or 40. I'm going to wait till that box is $10, and then I get a TikTok coupon for 99% off, and I pay $1 for that box. A cent. Like, just don't fall into that mindset of constantly waiting for that perfect dollar to buy it. If you can get it within a range that you feel comfortable with, that you know is a good price range based on all other Japanese boxes, just make the freaking play. Stop trying to get too cute with this stuff. Make the play if that's the play you're wanting to make. Okay? The English side of things. It's unclear what this product is going to look like. In my opinion, I believe the English product is going to mimic the Crown Zenith Sea and Sky boxes. I do not know if it'll go through distribution. It may or may not. My speculation, again, I have no information on this. The minute I do get information from people I know that have distribution, I will, I'll relay it to you guys. I want to make sure you guys know this is just my speculation. I would expect it to be another one of those products that just goes through big box retailers, Sam's Club or Costco, things like that. It'll probably, you know, just be one of those collection box type style things that has a bunch of packs and some lower value promos. In my opinion, again, I doubt the promos are going to be as highly sought after as the Mew, Mewtwo, and the Metal Mew from the UPC. It'll probably be something like the Sea and Sky boxes, where it's just some regular, like, EXs. Maybe it's got a full art or two in there, but I doubt they're going to have the value or be as sought after as the original promos. Definitely not the Snorlax promo, but as the original promos, and, you know, it'll probably just be based on the price per pack is what will drive the cost of that box. As I said before, in another video, if you can find English 151 packs at original retail, original MSRP, I think it's a screaming buy. I think it's a no-brainer. These packs are now valued, if you look at the products, somewhere between like, what, $9 to $10 now? So somewhere in that range is what like the market value of the pack is if you really break down the products that they're in. And so, yeah, when you can find retail products and the packs are like, I don't know, what were a pack is at 151, $4 or $5 retail, it's a screaming buy. And so, yes, I do think it's a great time to pick it up. Now, everyone like panicking. If you're panicking, you're holding Japanese 151 boxes and you're holding English 151. It's going to be a little different. I know people that have massive positions in Japanese 151 and they have been taking profits the entire way up. They've been, you know, trading at the new market value of their Japanese 151 to lock in other things because, you know, out of the fear that more could come and just out of, you know, realizing gains and using those gains to further their collection or move into other investments and diversify a little bit. So as always, it's always a good time to lock in profits when the market has had a steep rise, okay? Japanese boxes went down to around $50. They went back up to around $100, if not more, per case. And so that's always a good time to see 100% gain in a matter of months to think about taking some profits. So if you haven't taken any profits and you have a lot of it, it could be time. Now, this doesn't have to be an all or nothing scenario. It doesn't have to be dump everything. It doesn't have to be hold everything. You can do a little of both. The good part is when you do sell things at their new highs, you're able to dollar cost average the boxes that you are holding at such a small amount at that point that even if a reprint comes and the you know, the boxes do drop a whole bunch, it doesn't mean it's going to come under your new dollar cost average that you have on those boxes, your new cost basis, and so you're still going to be okay. If you do want to dump them all and just hope there's enough coming in for the reprint, you can buy a bunch, you know, in later. Maybe it could be a good idea. The issue with that is, what if the reprint is sort of small? What if, you know, it isn't as plentiful as before and the prices don't drop very much? And they only drop, you know, $10, $20, $25 a box. And now you're like, well, geez, after shipping or fees or whatever else, and all the work I went through, it doesn't even make sense to have to buy them all back. It's a lot of work for nothing. That's the, you know, kind of, that's the risk you take. So, you know, I think it's always a good time to, you know, take some profits when things rise very quickly. It's always a good idea to hold a little bit just in case, you know, that just in case scenario where there isn't a lot, it does shoot right back up, whatever it may be. So that's kind of my advice there. That's what I do myself. I very rarely dump an entire position. I normally just dump some, hold some. Same thing goes for 151. Guys, as I've said before, with sealed product, this is what kind of plays with a lot of people's minds. The sealed product is not just valued off of the pack price or the price of the, you know, expected value of the cards inside. Now, there's a lot of debates on that, you know, that not being correct, and, you know, that's why Pokemon is out of whack and people overpay for this stuff and all that good stuff. It's a conversation for another day. But the fact of the matter is, that's the way the market values these things. And so I do believe the UPCs, the original UPCs, and the PC ETBs and things like that will hold their value extremely well. And I don't think any of these new collection box reprints or any of these bundle reprints or restocks we see are going to hurt the value of those kind of items, okay? Those are the items that I would be more likely to hold on to, and I actually am holding on to. And regular ETBs and bundles and things like that are valued more based on just the packs. They don't have a lot of premium attached to the actual sealed item, and it's basically all valued off what the packs are going for. Those are the ones that are going to be more affected because the pack price may drop, the singles price may drop, right? And so that's how I would probably play that market. The reason I think the UPCs are going to hold up very good is the promos are not going to, if the UPCs don't get reprinted, the promos are going to hold a lot of value, which is going to drive the price of the UPC up. The UPC itself becomes collectible the same way Celebrations was. So if you guys don't remember, the Celebrations UPC, it never dropped anywhere close back to retail. The retail price, I believe, was $120 or $130. It barely even dropped back below $200 after release. For a little bit it did, but not very long. And the reason, and what's crazy is Celebrations had a reprint. So Celebrations had tons of new cards and tons of new product, actual packs introduced to the market, but it didn't affect the price of the UPC. And you'll say, well, Alex, that doesn't make sense. If the singles go down, if the price per pack goes down, why wouldn't the UPC drop with it? Because the value of these sealed products, they have different things that value them. Like booster boxes, they're valued off their scarcity and collectability, right? Whereas things like a bundle is more valued off the price per pack. And so that's how I would play the 151 reprint restock. If you have some bundles you're holding on to, maybe it's a good time to take some profits, maybe some regular ETBs. Those could be another item that are highly sought after to be reprinted, that are more valued off the price per pack, because the actual Snorlax card that isn't the stamped one isn't as valuable as the stamped one. And PC ETBs, UPCs, in my opinion, and it's what I'm doing myself, I'm holding on to those. I'm not too worried about more packs being introduced to the market through other products. So that covers the whole 151 reprint, both English and Japanese, and how, my opinion on how I would deal with them. As always, do with it what you choose. Don't listen to me. This is not financial advice. I'm just a guy in a room full of cardboard. Okay. Moving on to this increased amount of demand we're seeing, guys. Again, I'd love to sit here and feel all good about myself and give myself some pats on the back and be like, Alex, your channel's really growing. Your content is getting viewed. You are the man. But the truth is, guys, everyone is experiencing this in this Pokemon hobby. Pretty much every channel is getting more views this month than they did last month, and last month than they did the month before. The views are all continuously starting to swell up. People's subscriber counts are growing. People's comment sections are getting more comments, and people's live streams are getting more live viewers. I've been in a couple different YouTubers' lives, and they've made specific comments saying, this is the most amount of live viewers that I've had since, whenever, way back when. And I'm experiencing the same thing. I'm having some of the largest live streams I've ever had in terms of viewership. And I'd like to take the credit. I'd like to give the guests I've had recently the credit. The fact of the matter is, the hobby gets the credit. Pokemon gets the credit. It's happening hobby-wide. We are having more people enter this hobby right now than I think we've had since 2021 during the pandemic. And that is the reason we're seeing prices rise on a lot of these items as fast as we did during the pandemic. Guys, anyone that has been a non-believer in this market and has been saying things are going to crash ever since 2021 and we're never going to have another run like that because, Logan Paul and all the celebrities only came in one time. It was a once-in-a-lifetime black swan scenario, everyone being locked inside because of a virus. We had tons of free money from the government with stimulus and all the other reasons, right? Those people's opinions are now null and void for eternity. Right? This market right now, this demand we're seeing with none of that, right? We're in what most people consider, less than good economic times right now for most. A lot of people are getting laid off. People's dollars aren't going as far. It's getting more expensive for food and groceries, more expensive for rent and mortgages, and it's just harder to live, right? And, obviously the world's in turmoil. There's wars everywhere, and, we have an election coming up, and so you could really argue that the economic times now are not great. Okay, so we have less than good economic times. Okay, we have none of the other catalysts that we had before, and yet we're seeing the strongest market in 4 years. That should tell you this market doesn't need anything to continue to do well into the future. Guys, going back to like XY times, when XY was ending in 2017, going into Sun and Moon, and I was picking up Evolutions boxes, there was tons of voices around the hobby on, online forums and even on YouTube saying how none of this new stuff would ever, rise in value the way that people think it would. There's too much of it out there. And who are you going to sell to in the future? Well, if you go sell an Evolutions box right now, it's going to be eaten up like that. You can auction it. It's going to go for full market price like that. And these were boxes that were everywhere, very plentiful, and thought that they would never rise. And if they did rise, and they did end up being worth these crazy numbers like $200 or $300, by the way, they hit over 1,000, now they're sitting in the 800s, that you wouldn't be able to sell them to anybody. I mean, who's actually going to buy this stuff in the future, Alex? Well, just like I told you before, we have more people than ever entering the hobby, okay? And they weren't here when Evolving Skies was $100. They're here now. And if they want one of the best sets in the modern eras in their collection, they're going to have to pay $800 and something. That's where we're at. And the same goes for every single box. And every single 2 to 3 year period, you're having people cycle in the hobby and cycle out of the hobby. Sometimes there's more cycling in than they're cycling out. Sometimes there's more cycling out than they're cycling in. That's why you have the up and down markets. But you always have fresh faces, right? You always have new money. And you always have new price points that people are willing to pay because, one, they either weren't there when the price points were that they could afford were there, or they were in the hobby, but they couldn't afford those items at the time because, you know, whatever they had going on in their lives, they didn't have as good of a job, they didn't have as much money, they didn't have as much unrealized gains in Pokemon, they didn't make as many flips yet, whatever it may be, reason why they couldn't buy before, but they can now, right? There's a lot of people that have been in the hobby for 2-3 years, and they're going back to collect a lot of these Sword and Shield sets. They're going back to collect Sun and Moon sets they could have got for half the price, but they couldn't afford it then, they can't afford it now. And so, this idea that people are not going to want these items as they age it's really it's just like a self-destructing way of thinking. You're applying your own ideas to the market. Like you're predicting the market based on what you want or what you think, right? The fact that, you know, you were there when Silver Tempest and Lost Origin got reprinted and you picked up a bunch of cases at $600 or $660, whatever you got cases at, and now they're worth what they are, and you thinking, who would ever pay that? If you wanted it, you could have bought them for $600. Not if you weren't here. Not if you were in high school or college or just got your first job and you're trying to move out of your parents' house and you just did not have the money for this stuff. You're not going to buy it then. But now maybe it's a couple years later, you're established, you got some money, you got a big boy job, whatever it may be, and now you can afford it. And this is the trapped mindset that so many people fall into, is they see the hobby through their own lens, and they don't back up and broaden their horizons and look at all the other factors that are going to cause these things to rise and cause these things to continue to sell. Guys, just click on any TCG player or any eBay listing of any of these products and just look at all the sales that happen still to this day, daily, weekly, and monthly, right? Go to Sword and Shield, go to XY, go to Sun and Moon, go to any of these modern boxes, they still sell, right? And I've been in this hobby almost 9 years, and people that said, you know, some of these products that are 9 and 10 years old wouldn't sell because no one would want them, they're selling more than ever. And guess what? I'm going to predict right now, in another 5 or 10 years, all of the stuff you see right now, it'll be higher in value, and guess what? It'll still be selling for its new values. There will be no shortage of customers. You'll be able to list your item at, you know, the lowest list. It'll sell. You'll be able to auction it. It'll sell near full market price, and that is my opinion. Now, if you don't share that opinion, real simple, right? I'm not here to argue with you. You can leave all your crazy stuff in the comment section. I don't care. Sell your stuff. It's that simple. Sell your collection, take your money, go elsewhere. Put it in something you do believe in, right? Just keep a small amount here for a little bit of stuff you want to collect, and don't have any of your real wealth or any real money in the hobby if you don't believe in it. It's really that simple. You either do or you don't believe. You put your money where you believe, okay? So that's all it really comes down to. And we could sit here and debate the future again and again. And people have asked me to have other YouTubers on to like debate them. But the issue is the bears in this market, the people who are negative, they have nothing to debate. The only thing they have is the fear of the future, right? Because all of the data points to these things rising in value consistently every time. And all of the data going back as far as you want shows that it is a good investment. And so the only amount of negativity or fear or anything you can put in people's mind is the future. But I could use the future, right, as the same exact argument of why things are going to be great. I can say, well, based on all the past data, the future looks like it's going here. And then someone else can say, well, I think it's going straight down because there's too much printed. No one's going to buy this stuff. Look at, you know, whatever else you want to look at. And so it's kind of a meaningless debate to have, guys. If you don't believe in it, get out. If you do, get in. The data's there to support it. If you don't believe the data, well, you know, then I don't know if any data is believable. Do we believe data on, you know, stock market or, you know, crypto charts or, you know, insurance? Like, where do we stop believing in data? Is it just the collectibles market? I don't know. So there's that. So yeah, guys, the demand, it's organic, I believe. I know people are always talking about buyouts and manipulation. From everything I can see with both the content side, the buys, like the buyers being all different buyers from all different stores on eBay and TCG Player, and I've talked to others who are selling large amounts of this product, and they are saying that every single shipment is going to a different person. This tells me it's organic demand. It's not like one or two people buying up all the supply of things and trying to hoard it and push the market higher. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. What I'm saying is it doesn't seem to be happening right now. This is an influx of demand, all being targeted in specific areas, specific sets, specific cards. And when you have that amount of people and that amount of money all target specific areas of the market, that's when you see intense price growth. Now, let's go into the kind of later part of this video is what happens when the demand ends, what happens when this bull market comes to a close. So I don't think we're anywhere close to coming to a close. Surging Sparks is being pumped more than any set, I would say, since like 2021 pandemic levels of like Vivid Voltage, Battle Styles, things like that, where they would come out and go to $200 out of the gate. Yes, that happened. It's crazy to look at those prices now, but that did happen. The difference is Surging Sparks is actually a strong set. It's one of the later sets in the era, and it's not one of the, it's not like a Vivid Voltage or Battle Styles where it is a weaker set. So I don't think it's going to crash the way those did. Also, those got reprints, which helped, the prices fall and things like that. But if you look at where Battle Styles fell to after a reprint down to $80 a box, $79, $77 a box, it's actually, doing pretty well since the bottoms, but that's another story. So I think the demand's going to continue. We have so much to look forward to. Pokemon's doing a great job of their releases and their hype. They're hyping up the Evolution set, right? They're hyping the Terrestrial Festival, it's called. They're hyping up the Team Rocket set. They've got, Gym Leader or I don't think it's going to be Tag Team. I think it's going to be like Partner Pokemon or something like that coming back. So you have all these things looking forward to. They're already hyping up the new era, the new game that's coming out, the Mega Evolutions. Like, they have so much that you have to look forward to. They're releasing, new shows. They're releasing like a new series, I believe. And so Pokemon is continuing to pump out all of the contents, the games, the marketing dollars that you need. All of these like conventions are growing. Collecticon continues to grow every single year and put on more Collecticons. You have other conventions being thrown up by other individuals, other owners all across the country. They're growing. They're putting on more events. They're getting more turnout on vendors and customers alike. And everything around the hobby, when it's in growth mode, there's no way it's stopping, right? Now, when will it stop? Well, I think we're pretty good going into next year, all the way through at least the middle of next year and so on. Could go for another year, 2 years, guys, the way things are hyped up. But at some point, right, year, 2 years, 3 years, things will cool off. That doesn't mean things are going to crash. Everyone always wants this like big Armageddon crash, right? And, if you're in that mindset, again, sell everything. If you're that scared, just sell it. That way you're not on the hook. But I don't see that coming. What I see is parts of the market starting to cool off, right? The demand to start to shift to other areas as the hobby grows, as we have more sets and more eras. And things to go stagnant, and then, maybe have some price competition of people that want to, move their items because they are starting to get kind of stale and they want to move into something else. And that will drive the prices down. And when I say down, you could see 10, 20, even 30% price drops. I doubt we'll see anything like we did with the big COVID boom and bust where things would drop like 50, 60, 70, some 80, 90% on some cards and some items. I doubt we see that again because it's not the same style of momentum I see, right? That was so much, I would say, like momentum for the first time, right? It was so many people that had never even thought about cardboard as an asset, and so many people jumping in the hobby from celebrities and didn't even know what they were doing, and being everyone stuck at home and having free money to throw at it. I think all of those factors kind of produce a much more healthy market than we have now. A lot of the people who are getting in this market now, and I've seen them, I've had them reach out to me, I've seen them in my comments and my live chats, they seem much more strategic with what they're trying to do, right? They're not just like jumping on eBay or on these live auctions, just buy. They're actually like thinking out the process. They're like, so what's the most strategic things to buy? What's the hold time? Like they're really putting in time and effort to their purchases, and I see a lot less impulse buys is what I would say. A lot less impulse buys. They're still there, right? There's still people buying 151 Charizards at $750. I get that. But there's less of that impulse nature than I've seen before, which gives me a lot of confidence that we will see a fall off eventually, but not a crash. Now, how to protect yourself from that? Take profits, guys. Take profits along the way. No one ever got hurt taking profits. Now, I'm not saying quick flip everything, but when you have certain sets come along, because most sets, they're not going to be profit worthy in the first year, 2 years, right? They're going to be sets like, SV Base or Paradox Rift, Temporal Forces, Stellar Crown, things like that, where, maybe they sit around the 100, 105, 110, 120. Heck, maybe they get up to 130, right, in that first year or so. Maybe they go up a little higher the next year, but not to a point where it really makes sense to dump them and take like a $5, $10, $15 profit a booster box, right? But when you have outliers, like 151, like Twilight Masquerade, heck, like Stellar Crown's looking like it's good, or Stellar Crown, like Surging Sparks looking like it's going to be. Those are great times to lock in profits and lower your cost basis on those items so it protects yourself from a downturn. And you can either take that cash to buy other things in the hobby, make other purchases. You can keep the cash on the sidelines, waiting for, you know, a new product that you can buy cheap, waiting for a reprint, waiting for a downturn in certain areas to make, you know, plays when other people aren't. And so that is the main thing I would be looking to do, is always take profits when you can. And again, it doesn't need to be an all or nothing. It doesn't need to be, all right, I'm selling all my Twilight Masquerade. I'm selling all my 151. Why? Why? If you bought, you know, let's say you bought 20 cases or 20 boxes, whatever it may be, 10 boxes, 10 cases, whatever level you're at, right? Two boxes, 2 cases, and they more than double in value. If you sell half of those, right, that's going to lower your dollar cost average to half. Your cost basis is going to be half on that product. So if you bought a box for $100, that means your box will be $50 is what you have in it. We've never seen a modern box go to $50. Doesn't happen, okay? And so you literally have your risk that you have built in would be effectively zero from the last 10 years of data. So those are the things that you can do, is lock in profits enough to where your cost basis is so low on the products that you can't get hurt on a market downtrend or a reprint. And then again, use that cash how you see fit. So that is how I would be protecting yourself going into this. If you're worried about, you know, things downturning, you're worried about reprints or restocks in the future, don't go all in, right? Don't go all in positions right at release. Okay. So, you know, if you want to be in a position for, you know, I don't know, 2 cases, or you want to have, you know, 2 boxes, or you want to have 10 cases or 20 cases, buy half, right? Buy, you know, 5 cases now, and then, you know, in a year, reevaluate. Maybe you'll have to pay more. Maybe you'll have to pay less. If you have to pay more, your cost basis will go up a little bit. If a reprint comes, restock is cheaper, your cost basis will go down a little bit. And that's how you kind of average in positions, right? That's probably the best method to take. You can buy every step of the way, and that way you're not like, you know, kind of rolling the dice at a specific buy date, a specific price point. And that can help you a lot, is averaging in positions instead of going all in. That's pretty much it, guys. Like that is going to be the best way to approach a market like this in this hobby. I'm not going to sit here and get all negative, because I just don't see it. And I'm not going to be inauthentic to people out there, and just because things are up, say, you know, the danger is ahead, like beware, you know, it's all going to come to an end. Like, I don't see it, right? If you want my honest opinion, I think Surging Sparks is going to come out of the gate extremely hot. It'll probably be anywhere from 130 to 150 at release. And like I said, it's going to go up from there, right? I don't think the reprint of 151 English is good. I don't know about Japanese guys. I don't mess with the foreign markets. I can't answer those questions. Go to someone else for that. But the English market, unless this reprint is like an Armageddon style reprint where there's so much product that you're tripping over it in the stores, I don't think they're going to be able to put out enough packs and enough boxes to quench the demand of 151 and really drop the price in a dramatic way. I think it'll drop a little possibly, but I'm not going out panic selling my 151. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. I think we're getting so late in this era. Guys, this is going to be our 8th mainline set with Surging Sparks. We've got Shrouded Fable, Paldean Fates, and 151. That is 11 sets. We've got a reprint on Scarlet Violet base early. We've got that small restock on Paldea Evolved. We're getting to the point where I don't care how far Pokemon goes back, it's very unlikely, not impossible, extremely unlikely, we are going to see reprints on every single set. There has been sets in every single era that have not got booster box reprints. So anyone telling you that reprints always come and you'll always be able to find a cheaper price, they are lying to you. Or they're just ignorant and they don't know the history of Pokemon. I can name you sets in every single era that did not get reprints. So it is likely at this point, not every single set will get a reprint. The sets that don't will probably take off a good amount just due to scarcity. It won't have anything to do with how great the set is, how great the cards are, how well the cards are doing, any of that stuff. It'll simply be a play based on the scarcity of the booster box. It's why I buy a little of every set, even if it's a weaker set, because you never know how Pokemon is going to handle the amount they print or the reprint schedule or the restock schedule. And so I think that's going to be a thing. I think it's very unlikely we're going to see all of them get reprinted, but that's where we're at there. And so, you know, best thing to do if you're worried, if you're new, diversify. Buy a little bit of all the sealed, right? Buy a little bit of all the sets. You know, take profits when you can. and take advantage of price points when they're on sale, when reprints happen, if Black Friday has some deals, and have that long-term mindset. Don't put in money that you're going to need tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, and usually you're going to come out okay in this hobby. So that's all I got, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you're not yet. Let me know what you thought about this video, if it did help, and I'll be back here in a new one soon. I'm out.